I'm here with Kevin McCombs from Midnight Oil Recording. Kevin, can you tell us a little bit about your studio, where you're based out of, and what kind of music you typically work with?
Yeah, I'm located in the Riverside area of Jacksonville, Florida. I specialize in death metal or metal in general, but honestly, my client base is a whole lot of stuff that just walks in the door from word of mouth business. So I've done like radio drama, I've done singer-songwriter, a whole lot of singer-songwriter stuff. It's kind of all over the map. But
cool. And is your studio, is it a home studio? Is it a commercial studio? Like, what is your facility like?
So my facility is, I renovated an old industrial office space. It was garbage when I got in there. I was scraping floors and turned it into a studio space that I also live in. So rent is super cheap.
Yeah, that's something I always recommend is if you can put your living and your studio or business and life together in one place, it's always going to make your overhead so much lower. That's kind of the key to my success over the years, is always putting those two places together so it's consolidated. And there's also, you have tax write-offs for certain square footage and stuff. Talk to your CPA about that. All right. So can you tell me, you and I we first met back at something called the URM Summit, the Unstoppable Recording Machine Summit. It was an event that I spoke at in Orlando, Florida back in December. Can you tell me kind of where you were in your career back then when we first met?
Yeah. So, that was just a couple months ago in December. I was still working a full-time job as a technician at an aerospace company. It was a really cool job doing really cool work, but it wasn't audio. It wasn't, deep in my heart of hearts. It wasn't what I wanted to do. So I went to the summit and it kicked my ass. It was 4 days of meeting and hanging out with like-minded people. A whole lot of information. I mean, obviously your talk spoke to me on a deep level, deep enough to buy your course and then go through it. And it's hard to believe how far I've come in that short span of time. Can you
talk about kind of some of your specific challenges that you had back at that point in your career? Like, what were some of the things you were really struggling with?
Time. Time was everything. I was trying to do everything and wear too many hats. I play bass in a band that I also produce. Trying to get that off the ground is, a task unto itself, and basically not outsourcing enough, not knowing anyone to outsource things to. I didn't have a drum editor on hand at the time, and mostly just small tasks were bogging me down. I was working, 16-hour days every single day because I'd come home from a long shift building, drones and military surveillance systems, sit down and have to, get some ideas out and do some mixes for some clients. And really it was, it's a recipe for burnout doing it that way. That's what I experienced.
So your biggest issue was lack of time, because you're trying to balance a full-time job, which a lot of people can relate to that, trying to balance that full-time job with trying to get your career off the ground and recording. What were some of the things specifically that was causing in your business as far as, having to split your effort between those two areas?
Mostly.
Was your studio generating a decent income at that time, or was that kind of one of those things you're starting to just get off the ground back in December?
I'd had 3 to 4 paid clients at that point in the months leading up to December. So I was already making a decent amount from those projects, but it was killing me. I was getting absolutely annihilated because I'd do my shift, I'd come home, I'd do mixes and then do mix revisions, and my window of time to be able to do work for clients, obviously they want to hear something from me. They don't really care that I have a day job. And that's really what was crushing me is turnaround time is turnaround time. It doesn't matter what I have to do. Even if they're cool guys and they're understanding, people deserve, attention to their project because they paid you for it, basically.
So were you doing anything to try to overcome that at the time, or was it just one of those things you didn't even have time to think about potential ways to get past that challenge of trying to balance between those two worlds?
Yeah, the only thing that I could do was sleep less. And that's effective sometimes, but when you have to do it and buckle down, but it's not sustainable. It's really easy to get sick when you do that, and then you lose a whole bunch of time, period. So.
Yep. So what made you realize you had to do something to change that situation you were in? Like, what was the thing that really got you out of that into where you are now? Like, what was the big catalyst for saying, okay, I'm done with this job thing. I've got to do something to get the hell out of here?
Honestly, my experience at the summit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very clear to me. The thing that I found hardest about doing the studio on my own is simply not having the resources to prevent making dumb mistakes. And with the summit and with your course, all I had to do was like listen to people who've done it before, and that's so incredibly valuable to have the right resources and be able to do it. Because I mean, it was clear that I had the drive to do it at the time. It's just I wasn't necessarily focusing on the right things to be able to make my time more efficient, and figure out how to reach out to people without seeming like a kook.
Okay, so yeah, the two things you mentioned were the URM Summit, the Unstoppable Recording Machine Summit. Anyone watching this that wants to look into that, it's an awesome event. I spoke at it last year. They're having another one this year. So it's kind of catered more towards the heavy or more aggressive styles of music. So if you're in like pop or jazz, it may not really resonate with you. But you also mentioned the second thing, my course, which was the Profitable Producer course. When did you join that? You joined, was it December or January?
So I signed up for that, I believe, in January. Yeah. I just went ahead and paid for it. It felt like I had no other option to after your talk. Yeah, it's like, yeah, you told me exactly the things that I needed, and simply doing the work produced these results. So
what was your biggest reason for joining the course?
Being able to, be serious enough about it to quit my day job. Because the thing that I realized after the summit was that, there's 8 hours plus commute on either end of 5 days a week, at least, that I can't work around. And the only way that I'm really going to be able to do this in earnest is to free up that time slot to be able to, treat myself better and be more involved in working for the clients that I get. So really, yeah, I just needed some help with how to do it. And the way that you pitched the course made it seem very obvious that it was going to help me in terms of you went through the complete client journey. And I don't know. Yeah, it just put in no uncertain terms. It was very obvious that was what I needed to do. So
did you have any hesitations, before joining the course, kind of like things that you were like, I don't know,
The only thing that I was unsure of is whether or not it was a good idea to shorten my runway by the cost of admission in order to get the, return on investment. And honestly, that's the best decision I've ever made, because I made the course admission back within 1 month. And now I am on track to be making more than my day job. So, it's no complaints there.
Yeah. So whenever you first joined the course, kind of what was your first impression with things? Was it just like, a couple videos and a slideshow, or was it like, what was your overall impression of everything?
Mostly, it was just signing up for the course before the boot camp was just, here's a lot of videos, try to get through as many of them as you can when you're so thrashed out that you can't work anymore. And that was my strategy. So that was the other thing, is I would come home from work and have to decide whether or not I jump into education for myself or work for myself.
Yeah, that's a really tough balance for a lot of people.
Yeah. And quitting the day job was another thing that allowed me to really kind of dive deeper into the resources, because I do the Unstoppable Recording Machine, nail the mix stuff as well. And signing up for something that you don't have time to participate in is a really soul crushing feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you have any, major aha moments as you were going through the material or the boot camp?
Mostly it wasn't so much aha moments as over a very short period of time getting a lot of work done that was really critical. So like I had purchased my graphics and gotten, my logo and branding from 99 Designs from your website course. And I had like a husk of a website, but, truth be told, it was, kind of a joke. I don't really have anything on there. It wasn't organized in a way that made sense to people who are, trying to buy services from me. And mostly during like week 6, I felt like I had reached a critical mass of, wow, I actually have, all the systems in place to where if I send some random dude on Facebook a message, chat him up a little bit, and then ask him about his band, I can actually send somebody an entire package of my shit that has, here's my website, here's my portfolio, here is, all these things. Meanwhile, in the background, I'm gathering data and metrics on all the people that I talk to, unbeknownst to them. And it's, I don't know, I feel like a professional now. And that's really the difference.
Were those all things that you implemented from the course?
They are, yeah. So, watch a video, implement the stuff from the video directly. I mean, I like to, get a bit more creative with it, but honestly, I could have just followed what you told me verbatim and gotten to a very similar position. So
you were part of the Accountability Accelerator Bootcamp, which is a thing that we run 3, 4, maybe 4 times a year, where it's, a live 8-week boot camp where you're split into a team. What was your experience like inside the boot camp with your team?
Phenomenal. Go Team Delta. Basically, yeah, the Accelerator Boot Camp, accountability is perhaps the most important word of it, because setting up a group of dudes who are like-minded to meet once a week, on an awkward, Skype conversation and hash out your details. And somebody said maybe to my work and they didn't hit me back. Oh, I'm sorry, bro. That sucks. And it's really cool and endearing to be able to work with people who are struggling through the same thing. And I don't know, any resources to overcome the depression of working for oneself, can be really important to the process. And yeah, I can't really say that I'd be in the same place with the course if I had not taken the boot camp, because it keeps you on your toes. There are people on your ass waiting for you to turn in homework, do it good, get extra credit points, and make it happen. And the points and the gamification of it is really cool, but the point is that at the end of it, I have a business, which is a big deal.
Yep. Yeah, the whole accountability program is built out in order to have fun during it and to incentivize you. But at the end of the day, the entire incentive is to build a sustainable business, not to get your prizes and awards and stuff. But that's just a nice way of incentivizing you to do the things you need to do, but you just can't make yourself do. So what sort of specific results have you had so far since joining PPC back in January?
So since I joined, these days I get at least a deposit a week from a client who's booking a session up to 3 months away. And that is paramount, because, getting people locked in, even if they don't show up, you got the deposit and you preach that. And it's really good, because I've had experiences go the other way as well. And yeah, getting deposits, I bring people in for studio tours and I stoke them out. I'll buy them a beer at a show or something like that. And really my strategies are all kind of coalescing. So I'm getting work. I'm becoming known as somebody who gets good tones around town. And it's really just the wheels are greased and things are in motion now. That's kind of what it feels like.
Do you still have the day job?
I do not. So
okay. When did you leave that?
I quit the day job in the middle of week 6 of the Accelerator Bootcamp and have not looked back since. It's been totally awesome.
So what gave you the confidence to actually finally do that, to say, okay, I love doing this stuff at this aerospace company. It's fun work, but it's not fulfilling. It's not what I want to do. It's not filling me up, but it was at least steady income, right? It wasn't, maybe not the best income, but it was something steady. What made you finally say, okay, I'm going to release that. I'm going to put faith in myself to do this. What was the big thing that got you to really inspire you to do that?
Well, really, the calculus of the decision, it comes from multiple directions. So obviously, if management at work is a total bummer and they're coming down on you, obviously you start thinking about the ways in which to make yourself an escape pod. And I felt like the Accelerator Bootcamp was my escape pod. And once it was built, I just went for it. I felt like I had the confidence to do it because the outreach strategies and the general organization, I could extrapolate and see what my day-to-day would be like running it full time. It wasn't some unknown, I'll maybe try to get this band in. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but yeah, I'll probably run out of money in 6 months. But now I have a strategy and a to-do list for every single day. And that's really the thing that feels different moving forward.
What does it feel like, knowing that you are now your own boss?
Yeah.
Because that's something that a lot of people don't ever really get to experience.
Yeah, I wake up stoked every day. That's what it feels like. It's not to say that I am incapable of, having a bad day. Of course, that still happens, and it's obviously a different set of problems. Fending for yourself. I got to get my own healthcare now. I got to, handle all these things that were previously handled by Papa Aerospace. But I can take a day off when I feel like it. When I feel like I need one now, and little things to prevent burnout, to stay on top of myself and live a healthier life is really, I think, the biggest plus for making the jump.
Cool. So what do you think your studio or even life, your business or life would be like, had you decided, I don't know if I'm going to join PPC?
I wouldn't have one, just period. Yeah. I'd still be struggling with, the 6th mix revision for some dude that unable to perceive red flags as they destroy my life. Like that's, yeah, I'd be dealing with clients in a way which is less professional, which takes more time. That's really it. Is I get my time back, and my clients are happier. It's kind of funny how that works.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, if you are, let's just say someone is on the fence about joining this course, what would you say to them?
Do it. Don't let your dreams be dreams.
Little Shia LaBeouf there for you.
Yeah. Really, just if you're serious about it, all you have to do is do the work. Just join the course, go through the videos. You can take it at your own pace if you got other stuff going on, but really, especially if your studio is not yet established and you're just trying to figure it out, there's nothing to figure out. It's been figured out for you by the likes of Brian Hood and his compatriots. And yeah, all you have to do is pay, US dollars to be able to get that knowledge now. And that's what's crazy to me is this information has not been available ever. And that's also how I felt about the summit is no event like that has ever happened. And there's a lot of resources for people who are trying to get into the recording game that are really phenomenal. And the value relative to, degree in audio is unbelievable, especially with the return on investment. So,
yeah. Well, if someone wants to learn more about you and what you got going on in your studio, where can they go?
They can hit me up at midnightoilrecording.com, Facebook of the same name. And honestly, yeah, just shoot me a message on Facebook and say what's up.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Kevin.
Yeah. Cheers.
So that is it for my conversation with Kevin. Hopefully you found that encouraging and motivational, especially if you have a day job. If you're working 40 hours a week and you're trying to juggle your studio on nights and weekends, it can be tough. It can be very, very tough if you're trying to do that. So if you want to learn more about this program, the Profitable Producer Course, the program that helped Kevin go from full-time 40-hour week day job to full-time home studio in just a couple months, you can go to theprofitableproducer.com. Have a nice day.